Hey, seventh grade. The other day I did a real short video to introduce you to amphibians. And yesterday you took a quiz on the fish, which was section 1. And so we're still experimenting and learning how to do this online school. Today we're going to have a lesson on the amphibians. So, we said there were frogs, there were toads, newts, and salamanders. There's also some really unique ones called Sicilians. In your book, it starts at, hold on, let me look, page 420 and goes through 425. So take a moment and get your book and turn to page 420. Now wait for a minute, and I'll let you look at a model of a frog while we're waiting. So this is a model of a frog. You all should be getting your textbooks out. It's pretty big. If you turn them around, it shows what his insides look like. You can actually, hold this. This is liver. Take out his liver. This is lungs, heart, some arteries and veins, stomach, intestines, bladder. This is another artery. These are actually what we call fat bodies. More arteries and veins. All the way down, poor little guy. These are kidneys right here. In ninth grade, we dissect frogs. So when you get to ninth grade, let's see, I can't get them back together right now. Poor little guy. So I'm just going to have to leave them down for now. So in ninth grade, you'll get to dissect a real frog. Hopefully you have your book by now, and turn to page 420. Now, let me go ahead and switch this back. So I'm going to just kind of go through and look over some of the information here. Now, a lot of times we read it out loud together. I'm just going to point out some things, and I want you to read it on your own after this video, and go ahead and fill it out, the answers on your notes. And then by the beginning of class tomorrow, I will upload the answers to the notes, but I want you to try it first, okay? And see what you can figure out on your own. So let's look at the book. So it begins, it talks about how amphibians start out in the water, a lot of them, and then become land animals. We talked about that, especially with the frogs and toads, and how that's really, really unique. And they develop lungs. It describes a lung here as, you know what a lung is. We have lungs. That's what we breathe with. We take in oxygen through our lungs. And it also goes into characteristics of amphibians. But before we go, we got some good pictures of frogs. Here's a tree frog, and that's a salamander right there. And over here, that is a frog that in Africa they use, in South America as well, they use them as like to make the poisonous darts. And their toxin that comes from their skin is really deadly. And then that is a salamander. Salamanders and newts, a lot of people confuse them with lizards, but they're not. Lizards are reptiles, they're amphibians. So amphibians, characteristics on this side talks about how their skin is very thin. They breathe actually through their skin as well as through their lungs. And You may have held a frog or a toad at one time, or maybe a newt or salamander, and noticed that they had really, really thin skin. And so they can absorb water through their skin. The word amphibian is pretty neat right there. It tells us it means they double life. Double life because they start out in the water and are like fish, and then later on become like any other animal that lives on land. And if they have the brightly, what we were talking about, this frog right here, brightly colored skin often means that that animal is poisonous or venomous. Okay? And it's to scare away predators. Here's the life cycle of a frog or a toad. Again, the eggs are laid. They develop into a tadpole. Over time, they start growing legs. Their tail starts getting shorter. They eventually, excuse me, start growing lungs, get rid of their gills, and then we have an adult frog or an adult toad. And again, that's a really unique feature for frogs and toads, the fact that they change dramatically from a water animal like a fish to a land animal. And so it talks about them leading a double life. Metamorphosis is the term that means that something changes, and changes like from one form to another. Over here on this page, we have the really unique ones that you may not have ever seen or heard of before. Caecilians. They look like a snake or a worm, and they come in different colors too, by the way. No legs. They live in Asia, Africa, South America. They have moist skin, thin skin. They breathe through their skin like other amphibians do. So they're not like a snake in that aspect, because they are starting out life like a water animal like the other amphibians, and then become a land animal. Salamanders is the next section. We've got a salamander here, marbled salamander they have pictured. This one's really neat looking. That's an atoxel, and it is a salamander that always keeps its gills. And actually these fuzzy looking things right here are its gills. And so it keeps them its entire life and never loses them. It has lungs too. So it's really unique because it has lungs and gills. Really, really cool salamander. We've got frogs and toads featured on this page, and talks about the differences between frogs and toads. Frogs are the ones that have the really smooth skin. Frogs have, bumpier skin. Toads have bumpier skin. There's a toad there, and look how bumpy his skin looks, versus this frog. Oh, no, excuse me, that's a bullfrog. Yeah, and he looks a little bumpy here, but his skin down here is real smooth. But on the toad, all over his legs and everything's kind of bumpy. Here is another frog. You may have seen this before on nature videos, where they have a vocal sac and they fill it with air, and it amplifies the sound that they make so that it goes further and increases the volume of their singing, their song that they're trying to do to attract a mate. So frogs and toads, again, unique metamorphosis from a water to a land animal. Frogs, the smoother of the two. Toads, bumpier. Oh, and by the way, you do not get warts from toads. Warts are caused by a virus. So you don't have to worry about getting warts from if you ever picked up a toad. And over here is a golden toad, and they no longer exist. Toads and frogs and all amphibians are really, really sensitive to their environment. We talked about them having the thin skin. Because their skin is thin, pollution in the water and in the air really affects them more so than other animals. And there are a lot of endangered amphibians worldwide. especially in areas where there's a lot of pollution. And there's a real fear by ecologists that amphibians are going to become extinct at an alarming rate as we continue to pollute the environments that we live in. So that is a brief look at amphibians that's covered in section 2. Do read this on your own and fill out the answers to the notes. And then I will tomorrow post the answers to those notes for you. And the next section after this one is reptiles. So we'll wait, talk about them later. Now, we'll have a quiz on Monday on the amphibians. So Friday, by the end of the week, we'll work on a review. And I'm also going to post another eyewitness video on amphibians that you can watch. So you can begin, if you want now, as you're going along, studying and like we did with the fishes quiz on Monday, we might do a similar thing where I upload the quiz and you answer it and send me a picture back. Until I can find a better way or to do that, that's how we'll do it for now. Make sure, of course, everything that you email to me has your name on it. And as you take pictures, try to make sure that I had one or two where I couldn't see a question, it wasn't in the picture. And so I had to ask the student, why I couldn't see number, 7 or number 8 or whatever. So make sure that you've got all the questions there when you send it back to me so that I can grade it. And on the last one that you just took, if you missed one or more, I sent the key along with it so that you could see what you missed and what the right answer was. So that'll help you when you get to the chapter test, studying for that. I hope you all have a great day. It's different learning this way. I do miss y'all. I hope that you're staying safe and hopefully maybe enjoying more time at home with your families. I'll talk to you later. Take care of yourselves. Bye.